Hey, I'm Chaz.
And I'm Dan. Welcome to Wine is Serious Business, episode 189. We're here today with our friend David Speer in his Red Slate wine shop, but since he's last been on the show, he also has a champagne bar called Ambonnay just down the hall. Is it one of the only places in the United States that's doing it? Are you the only champagne bar in the United States right now?
I'm not the only champagne bar. I'm the only one that serves exclusively champagne and sparkling. All the other champagne bars have cocktails and beer and whatever else, but yep,
Yeah.
I'm the only one that does just that.
So kind of, pursuing a neat path and doing something really cool here in Portland. And as kind of like the local sparkling wine man, we thought he'd be an incredible guest for some Franciacorta samples that we got sent thanks to the Balzac marketing folks down in California. Because none of us really know a whole lot about Franciacorta. And it'd be great to have David here just to kind of talk about it a little bit and put it in the context of the world of sparkling wine.
Do this one first or this one first? All right.
And so what's been your experience with Franciacorta in the past?
You know, Franciacorta for me can be really, really enjoyable. I think so often you hear about Prosecco as Italy's answer to sparkling or answer to champagne. And really I feel like if you're going to compare apples to apples, Franciacorta is really what you need to be talking about. Prosecco is a great little bubble, but Franciacorta is serious. It's made in method traditional, tends to be Pinot Noir and Chardonnay. So we're talking same grapes as champagne, same production styles, all these things. It's made in the region in Lombardia, which is kind of up in the northern area. Anytime you see like George Clooney hanging out in the lake region of Italy on his boat with the girlfriend du jour, he's in the same general area as Franciacorta.
Excellent. Yeah, so that was news to me. I didn't know that they know about this and that it was, that method traditional thing. I was like, oh, that's interesting. Like, there's probably a lot of kind of like undiscovered gems for the American market coming from that region.
For sure. I mean, the downside, if you can call it a downside, is because it's so much like champagne, unfortunately price tags are also so much like champagne.
Really?
Franciacorta, it tends to be a bit less expensive than champagne, but it is not like Prosecco price. It's going to be more like 30 to 50 a bottle instead of Prosecco, which is like 10 to 20 a bottle.
See?
Sure. So first one we've got Contadi Castaldi. I call that? Yeah, I'm not familiar. Again, butchering more pronunciations. Sorry about that. Don't really know any of the producers either, so we'll put the pictures up like we always do. And just looks like a 2007 vintage too, so a little bit of age on it. And when we popped them and tasted them right out of the bottle, and they were kind of funky, and it's been probably 10 minutes tops, and it's already blown off.
Yeah.
Kind of some nice, like a little bit of creme brulee there, but not like really heavy candy. There's a little bit of citrus.
Yeah, a touch of sweetness on the nose, but nice like lemon citrus.
For me, this one feels a bit more rustic in flavors. Texturally, it's a very gorgeous wine. Flavor-wise, I'm getting a lot of kind of rocky soils with some straw. I'm getting just not necessarily the arc of flavors I expect out of a very elegant champagne.
Sure.
It's not, this is brioche and almonds and
Correct.
apples. It's more kind of, knobbly crab apples that have been dropped on the ground. And it feels more Italian to me,
Okay.
more rustic-y. It doesn't have that polish, which I don't think it needs to have. I think it's just a distinction that's fun.
I really like that straw descriptor on the nose. Like there is definitely some more, just something suggesting more of a warmer climate, I guess, than like really racy champagne.
Yeah.
The palate's like really almost like a tart green pear, almost like one that doesn't have enough juice in it.
Yeah.
And because of that, there's like a little bit of like an edginess to the finish, like it's almost like a little angular.
Yeah.
But in a good way. I mean, like you said.
It has some angles, and classic in my mind with Italian wine is this one wants food. Italian wines are made for food. You throw a little salami with this, you get a little cheese in here. Man, this wine is going to be like, I want some of that. Put it in a glass, let's do it. Let's have some fun.
Right.
And that little bit of like candy, a little bit of richness on the nose, I think goes a long way. Like it does show up on the palate a little bit too. smooths things out a bit. Like it's definitely more on the simple side, right? There's not a whole lot going on in the finish, nothing like, you know, really engaging complexity, but right, a little bit of fruit, you know, a little bit of sweetness, like it works well. Plus good texture.
Yeah, nice texture, all of it.
Do you have any idea what these cost?
No
I'm
clue.
gonna say, and these three are not in. This one might be in Portland, but
Okay.
otherwise these two are new to me, so I don't know. I'm gonna guess they're all between 25 and 40.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
that's
I
a
guess
pretty
you-
broad range. So
Should have looked that up, but yeah.
And in the mid-20s, a nice bottle of wine. Right?
Yeah.
But yeah, go a little higher than that. I think you could do better in champagne cream.
yeah, or maybe the next one's in the list.
That's true.
Yeah, we'll see. I think I'd go 87 on it.
You're good. Way 7.
Some good qualities, but I think just kind of on the simple side. Nothing that really captures my attention. It's just easy and pleasant drinking. Everything's there. I would happily pour myself another glass, but I also don't feel like I really go seek it out. So
Good point.
yeah.
I'm sort of in the 84, 85 point range for that one, just because of the finish, and it's a little abrasive for me personally.
Interesting. Yeah.
But still a nice wine. Really, I think David captured really what its essence is that I think with food it would be much better personally. But just that one is.
Taking my time on the rinse.
Yeah, you are really enjoying the rinse today.
I'll make you pronounce this one.
Oh, Jesus. Ricci, yes? I've been moving all day. I'm sorry,
that's okay.
guys. Yeah.
So it's Ricci Curbastro.
All right.
All right.
Franciacorta back label. It looks like lot is February of 09.
And it's a brut.
It is brut. So Broctura, I don't know what that is, but it's 10 of 11. That might be disgorgement versus, or when it was released.
Okay.
Yeah, but I'm sure with a little Google search, there's actually a lot of information on the back label, which is something you don't see a lot of in Franciacorta. You don't see it in a lot of champagnes, so it's nice to see some transparency coming through, letting us know when things are happening and what's really going on as well.
That is cool. And what in Italy does brut? Is that similar to the meaning in France?
Yeah, brut has become, unlike so many systems and terminologies, brut has become something that is really universally accepted.
Wow.
You know, where, to my understanding, I really haven't seen much variation, and there might be a touch here.
No, that's great though, right? 'Cause it
Yeah.
seems like a lot of people like to take words and attach their own
Exactly.
regulations to them. Yeah. So.
A little more going on in the nose in this
For
one
sure. Definitely.
than the last one. Yeah, there's fresher fruit here. It's just like, and it's right up in front. Like my first smell, I'm like, wow, okay, more going on immediately.
Maybe there's a little bit of a apple cider note going on in here.
I was thinking like even in the orchard, like a couple apples laying on the ground, a little bit of fermentation going on there, a little tartness.
Some fun mushroomy notes. Again, some of just that rocky soil. And when I say rocky soil, I'm kind of thinking like kind of dry summer day, kind of dusty with just like rocks all spread through it, like, you know.
That smells really good.
Yeah, a lot of smoky notes also in this one.
Yeah, it's like definitely on the, like the earthy and complex side. And
It is. Yeah, it's got a lot going on.
Yeah, I mean, for me, this is starting to get to be more of what I expect out of Franciacorta. You know, where it's like, all right, you're delivering some complexity. There's some interest. It is more than just like, hey, this is fun fizz. You know, pop the cork and just drink it with your friends. This one is like, oh, I could sit and think about this one.
I'm really feeling it.
Yeah, on the palate, this is way more linear than the last one, which was a little bit gappy, right? Like kind of had some good things up front, finished a little bit something, but this is way more linear wine than the last wine, and drinking really well.
And I think that those kind of like funky notes of like cider or apples on the ground from the nose really add some character, I think, to the palate too. Because to me, the palate seems pretty clean. Like there's a really
Very clean.
good sense of just kind of like delicacy and elegance that just kind of sits on the center of the palate. There's some nice like pearish flavors, I guess. But so there's that little bit of fruit, but it's gentle, and I really like the texture, both of the bubbles and of just the general structure of the wine.
Agreed. And then there's, I think getting back to Stones, there is a distinct minerality to this one that I wasn't getting in the last one. This one's, it's almost like a chalky, sort of quartzy minerality to it to me. It's really a nice wine.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Interestingly, just like I said with the first one, I still want food with this wine. The first one I feel like it needed it, but I wanted a real rustic style. I wanted, like, here's just some finocchiona or cacciatore salami, just like real simple farmer kind of like I'm out in the field and I just crack this bottle and have a little bit as I'm working. Whereas the Franciacorta, I really wanted the dinner table with a more composed dish. Getting into risottos, interesting pasta.
I can see that being really nice.
Yeah.
Well, this is delicious. This one I really like quite a bit. Stepping up the game, like 89 points for me. Right on the edge of getting to really special. I mean, it's delicious, and I'd be interested to see how much this is.
Yeah, it's right on the edge of it for me too. I think that it needs a little something more interesting.
It's a little more complex.
A little more, but yeah, like 89 plus for me, like right on the edge, and definitely this is definitely a brand that I'm going to keep my eyes open for, because I would totally try another bottle, or if I saw it on a list somewhere, especially like you're saying at an Italian place.
An easy buy.
Yeah, I would definitely like to check more out. So so cool stuff.
On to the next one. All right. The reds.
Well, we got you on camera. Any interesting stories about life in the world of sparkling wine that you want to tell? Or just like
Life in the world of sparkling wine.
or what's had your attention lately? What's that, either inside or outside of Champagne, just like something that you think people who watch the show would be interested to hear.
Yeah, I mean, right now, so I'm participating in Summer of Riesling, which is a kind of nationwide effort to push more people to drink more Riesling more often, because you should. But more than that, specifically in the world of sparkling, as a result of that, I've been tasting a lot more Sekt, German and Austrian sparkling wines. I just did a flight the other night at Ambonnay, and it was interesting. I poured a couple of Austrian producers as well as a German producer. And the Austrians, man, those cats know how to make bubbles. I had Schloss-Wilbelsberg, they're in the Cantal, really cool producer. It was like groovy plus Riesling and Pinot, mostly Gruner, in that lineup. Really fun wine, totally dig it. It's been on my list since day one. But what I also got to taste next to it was a wine, a rosé, a sparkling rosé from Billy Brundemeyer, who is the maker of Schloss-Wilbelsberg. It's his mentor, and that wine was just ridiculous. And it's the same price as rosé champagnes, and it was so good I'm thinking about last one.
Wow, cool.
Yeah.
And like a really good takeaway from that is that, and it's been fun as I explore like other sparkling wines that throughout Europe, like there are a lot of great sparkling wines, and Champagne has for centuries, right, commanded a price premium. Like they've been the name for so long that they just kind of hold on to that, and you get some
Great wine,
sweet
great
deals
marketing.
from other regions of the world that have also been producing sparkling wine for a while and just haven't had that connection to royalty.
Well, and I think this is a tough thing, and I think it's good to bring this up with Franciacorta as well as some of the Austrian producers and here in the States, wherever, all these wines that are commanding the same price now as entry-level champagne. And I think it's a mental block for people like me and a lot of folks who we think, well, I could buy champagne for the same price. Why would I have this other wine that may be inferior, whatever baggage we bring to the table?
The rappers don't talk about it.
Yeah. Although, the Beastie Boys are rapping about Prosecco. Jay-Z just talked about Burgundy, Bordeaux, and Riesling. That's right. Tom Ford track on Magna Carta. Check it out. So it's happening, but they're not talking about it as much. But I think it's one of those mental blocks we need to get over. I think it's probably the same thing that Oregon experienced helping get over Burgundy is, we're not okay. Same thing that Napa experienced with Bordeaux. A lot of these things where it's like, I think sparkling wine internationally is going to get to the point where champagne is still the big dog, always going to be the king, but it's no longer, oh, well, if it's $50, I'm not going to bother unless it's a champagne.
Right.
Yeah, that's great. Right, worldwide quality going up.
Yeah.
So, so for wine number 3, Il Mosnel, I think. I don't know if you pronounce that S or not, but one that we tried before. And when I was in Italy a little while ago, I also saw that they contribute some cases to the Banca del Vino, which is a cool thing that they do. They have a big underground storage area where a lot of Italian wineries get selected to submit cases, and they store them. And the idea is like, so these producers kind of like have an offsite place for a small amount of wine, and a couple cases are designated to essentially be stored forever because it's part of the history. Because it's part of the cultural history of Italy, and I think that's a really awesome project for somebody to undertake, and it's cool that these guys participate. So.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
That smells good.
Is there a vintage on this?
Yeah,
there is.
Brut. Okay. Yeah, just Brut.
Brut, I mean, there's a QPR code on it, but that and, $2 buys a cup of coffee, so.
Yeah.
A little sweeter nose than the last one, but in a good way. It's sort of like a little cake frosting thing going on that you get.
A little bit, and just some riper fruit. I feel like these two have been more unripe fruit, and minerality, and sour fruit, and ciders, whereas this one's like, oh, here we go. We're getting into some nice ripe apples, more ripe pears, a nice Meyer lemon, something soft and approachable.
A little bit of whipped cream too.
Mm-hmm.
This smells wonderful. Yeah.
This one is way more of a crowd pleaser, I think, than the previous two, right? There's,
Yeah.
I think, a little more sweetness on here, little of the fruit flavors that I think would make it pleasing to a wide range of people.
Yeah, and of the three, when I think about my kind of placeholders in my mind of what Franciacorta is supposed to be like, this one is the one that most reflects that. I think the other two are interesting wines, but not necessarily what I would think of as classic Franciacorta. And that's probably a good thing. Producers are branching out, trying other things, experimenting, pushing the boundaries. I think this one in particular, particularly how much they have on the back label, shows a lot of that.
Right.
But this one, very classic.
And especially for export market too, I think that's really cool. They take the effort to share that information, right? Because that just gives us more to work with.
For sure. Palate, really gorgeous. Fine bubbles.
Really fine bubbles.
Really
texture
nice.
is killing.
Nice honey tone to it, particularly in the finish.
Yeah, the ripeness of the fruit transfers to the palate really well, and it's really easy to understand. Not so mildly abrasive as the last two, like just really soft.
Never gets too heavy. Little less acidity, I think. A little lighter on, but not. Again, it's not flabby at all.
Or even balanced. I think this is an example of dosage working to balance acidity, whereas these two wanted to show off acidity, and the dosage was probably a bit lower.
Okay. Well, cheers. This one turned out really well.
Yeah,
absolutely. I can see this one probably being a little more expensive.
Could be.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, it could go either way.
I remember tasting this one at the Wine Large Conference, or at least this producer, and being really happy with them. They had their entire lineup there, like the rosé and everything. It was awesome. It was really good. So, this is another great example of it. Based on having two really great experiences now with this producer, I'd be willing to check them out anytime. But price according.
Right, but I also, right, I'm guessing that like what you said, like 25 to 40 is probably.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to guess this one would be maybe 30, 35.
Yeah.
Maybe a bit more. It's hard to say.
Half again as much on a restaurant is probably right, but.
At that point, worth checking out. I mean,
totally.
This is really nice.
Yeah. And I think, like honestly, like I think almost anybody that likes wine, you could enjoy a glass of that with. Like it's really got a broad appeal.
Yeah, I think so too.
So on that note, 88 for me. So enjoyable, but a little less interesting, right? Just like pleasant, easy drinking.
I'm going to agree. I'm going to go 89 points on it. Same as the last one. This one is a little less complex, but more pleasing, more immediately pleasing right off the bat. And I think Dan nailed it. This is going to be more of a crowd-pleasing wine than the other two.
Yeah.
So delicious, though. Really good.
And for me, this is the one. It could be wonderful with food. This is the one that stands alone. Whereas these two, I want food. This one, I can just drink.
I totally agree with that too. Like it doesn't have those edges that really want to work with something. It really is kind of pleasant in the glass by itself.
And just for me, I'd bring that last one on camera real quick.
Sure. Okay.
Give a quick mention.
Sure.
If you're
a shout out to these guys.
Yeah. Well, so this wine was in the lineup initially. Unfortunately, it was corked. But if you're using this as kind of a Franciacorta primer, you definitely need no Belvista. They're the big cool kid on the block. I've had their wines many times. I was really bummed that this one was corked. It's a smoking wine. So check them out as well. But I think these three on their own, I think oftentimes this wine kind of overshadows its producers.
Oh, wow.
It's kind of in that same way when people talk about Krug and Champagne, I think people talk about Belvista in Franciacorta.
So maybe it's a good thing for us that we got the three without that.
That we didn't have this one kind of overshadowing the others. But definitely check this wine out. And this wine, I know, local market, I want to say I've sold this wine for $35-40, maybe a bit less.
Okay.
I think 35-ish is where this one's been for their more entry-level wine.
Cool. So some good additional info there. And then wrap up like we always do. If you have a question that you'd like to ask the audience, anything people can reply on in the comments. It can be about Franciacorta, it can be about anything really.
Comments and questions. Just to continue it, because I gotta do it, and going somewhere or going to a recent rendezvous. Kids, why aren't you drinking more Riesling? It's delicious. Just put it in that cake hole. But tell me why you're not drinking it.
I think that's the second person that's asked that question, right? That grape grape just needs more love. But anyway, that's the show. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.
We'll see you.